Welcome back, folks. This is Shane. Today we're checking out the Fender Deluxe Reverb Tone Master amplifier. Let's take a look. So here's the amplifier up close. It's like any other Deluxe Reverb. We have two channels, the normal channel, which is just treble and bass and volume, so it doesn't share any of the reverb, speed and intensity controls for the vibrato. It's all on a separate channel. I love this channel. I hardly ever use this, but we will test it out in the video. We'll also test out the amplifier with an overdrive pedal as well. So the cabinet is nice and light. It's a pine cabinet. They've also kept the weight down by using a Jensen neodymium speaker. Now, much like the twin reverb, this is just extremely light. You can pick it up, no problems at all. In terms of the power attenuation, we can go from 22 watts on the full mode to 12, 5, 1, 0.5 watts and 0.2 watts, which is well below speaking volume. So if you want to play quietly at home, you can absolutely do that. We also have an XLR out over here with two cabinet simulations we have off, and 1 and 2. So 1 and 2 are IRs, impulse responses. 1 is an SM57 and 2 is a Royal 121 ribbon microphone. So you get that option of recording silently out. Now, something I just learned about this, which I forgot to add in on the Tone Master twin amplifier, was if you want to record without the speaker on, simply hit the standby button and turn the amp on, and you can record without any sound coming out of the speaker. How great is that? Just straight into your sound card and you're good to go. Included with the amplifier, we get a foot switch to turn on and off the reverb and vibrato. We also get the instructions, a power cable, and also one of those little jacket slip cases to put over the amp. A massive thanks to the guys at Sky Music for letting me borrow this. I really appreciate it. If you live in Melbourne, Australia, you want to check out the links in the description below. If you live overseas, I'll also post some Sweetwater links down there as well for the US viewers. And what can I tell you, I'm pretty impressed with this amp. I've had a great chance to play the Tone Master Twin live a few times, as well as do a full deep dive review. If you missed those videos, I'll leave links up in the cards and you can check those out as well. But overall, man, this new range of amps is probably the future. It's so much more authentic sounding than trying to cram in too much, and that's what I really like about that. But we'll get to my thoughts about it at the end of the video as well. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. So let's get into it. All right, let's kick it off. I'm playing my Fender standard Mexican Stratocaster from about 3 years ago. This is all stock. We're going into the vibrato channel. We currently have the amplifier set to 3 on the volume. We have the treble and the bass set to just over 4, or between 4 and 5. The reverb is set to 2.5. Let's give this a shot for some neck pickup tones. Here we go. Sounds great. Over to neck and middle. Feels great to play. It's definitely got that Deluxe Reverb sound. I've owned a few of these and it sounds pretty sweet. Let's turn it up now to about 4.5. I'm going to leave the EQs and everything else where it was set. Same neck and middle for the moment. Man, that got so much louder when I cranked it up, and probably in the editing, you're probably not going to notice too much of a difference, but in the room I actually had to go over and turn the sound card down a little bit because the input was clipping. It gets so much louder up at 4.5. That's insane. Let's turn it up a little bit more now to about 5.5, or just before 6. This is kind of like where it should start to sound pretty saturated. Let's give it a go. Man, that is seriously loud. 22 watts cranked. Yep. It's pretty loud. All right, we're gonna run it at 7.5, which is about as far as you'll ever need to push a Deluxe Reverb before it turns into Mush City. And what I'm gonna do is turn down the bass to about 3, and I'm gonna leave the treble up, or actually we'll put it at 5, because the more you push any Deluxe Reverb, this one included, or an actual valve or tube counterpart, it does get a little bit muddy once you start cranking up the gain. But what we're gonna do to start with is start with the volume control down. So here we go. A little bit more. A little more. Feels great to play, volume all the way up. Now I gotta tell you, I really think this is brighter than a Deluxe Reverb at that sort of volume. So I'm just gonna back off the treble down to about 3.5 now. Let's give this a shot. Bridge pickup still. Cool. Let's take a look at the built-in vibrato now. And I've got the intensity up at 7.5 and the speed at 4. I've also turned the reverb up to 3.5. Here we go. This is bridge and middle. Over to the normal channel of the amplifier, and that doesn't share the reverb, nor does it actually share the vibrato. So you're just getting a dead dry, clean channel with treble and bass. I have the bass set to 4 and the treble set to 5. Let's take a listen to this. This is neck pickup. Let's crank that up. Let's put it up to 7.5 now. That is dead dry, but it still gets nice and squishy when you dig in, and it's got that breakup sound, you know, when like pushing the valves over the edge of breakup. So even though there's no valves, they've emulated that really, really well. For my money though, I kind of like the vibrato channel. You get the reverb, which makes everything sound better, and you also get the optional sort of onboard vibrato as well. That might not be for everybody, but for what I like, that section of the amplifier is pretty much all I would ever use. Over to my 52 reissue Telecaster, loaded with a set of Joe Barton Danny Gatton pickups, and I've got the Maxon Overdrive Pro out. We're going to see how well the amplifier actually takes an overdrive pedal with the amp volume at about 4.5 to 5. Here we go. This is back on the vibrato channel. And now with the pedal on, with everything at 1 o'clock. Whew, sounds great. Over to bridge. Sounds like a Deluxe Reverb with an overdrive pedal. That's pretty wild. Let's check out the power attenuation on the back of the amplifier. And we're also going to try the XLR out set to the SM57 mode. So what you're about to hear is the amp just dead clean with the microphone. Well, not dead clean, but without the overdrive at about 4.5 on the volume. Here we go, it's the neck pickup. Let's try just the XLR out. Now I can't hear that in the room, but when I tested the Tone Master Twin, there was almost no difference between actually miking the amp up with the 57 and hearing that XLR out on the back. So with the IRs built into this thing, hopefully it still sounds pretty good. If something's really weird, I'll leave an annotation on screen, but I'm tipping that will sound pretty great. Now, let's click it back down from 22 watts to 15. I'll play the same thing. And let's try that now with the XLR out. What I want to do now is also test that with an overdrive, because sometimes the XLR out, at least in my last testing, didn't quite sound as nice as the amp mic'd up. So this is the amplifier mic'd up to begin with. What a tone. And what am I doing? Now with the XLR out. So in the room, I'm just hearing it twice the same way, and you're hearing it after I've done the post-production. You're hearing just the XLR out on that last pass. So that's pretty cool. Now back to the power attenuation. Back to just the microphone now, and this is the amplifier at 5 watts. Still feels great to play, and when you dig in on those low notes, you can still feel that big bloom of low end come through, which is great. And now with it down to 1 watt, so this is basically conversation volume. Yeah, all right. Down to 0.5 watts. Now I've probably boosted that up in post-production so you can hear it nice and easily. And what you're about to hear now is that at the volume untouched. So here we go. So that's softer than my voice in terms of volume. And now with it all the way down to 0.2 watts. So this is going to be quieter than my talking voice by a mile. I can actually hear the clanging of my strings over the actual amplifier. So what I might do this time is switch it over to this mic on my shirt so you can kind of get a sense of how quiet it actually is. I'll try talking or playing something at the same time. So you probably heard my voice way louder than the amp, and now I'll shut up. So yeah, it is very, very quiet. In the room, you could use this at any time of day or night and not annoy anybody. Thanks for watching, folks. This is Shane. So what do I think about this amp after testing it out and after owning 2 Deluxe Reverbs and gigging pretty much exclusively with them for a few years? This sounds great. It does sound a little bit different. One thing I noticed about it is it feels a little bit brighter to my ear than my old Deluxe Reverbs for whatever reason, but it's nothing you can't just compensate by just turning the tone control, the treble control down on that channel. It felt like the Vibrato channel was slightly brighter than the normal channel, at least in the room where I was sitting with it sort of beside me. It might be a bit different on the recording. Sometimes when you're out in the front of if you're standing in front or sitting in front of the amplifier, you hear different things, but from beside it, it sounded like the Vibrato channel was slightly brighter than what I was used to. But I mean, the tones were great. It really felt good under the fingers. When you dig in on those low notes, you get that bloom of sound that you just get from a Deluxe Reverb, and that's one of the great things about it. Now I actually have one of the Tone Master Twins behind me. I've already done that review. If you missed that, I'll leave it up in the cards. These are 2 different type of amplifiers for 2 different type of people. I kind of feel like the Tone Master Twin would be the best value. It is a little bit more expensive, but you can also turn it back down to playing at home levels, and then you can take it out and be loud enough for most gigs. This one wouldn't be loud enough for some of the places that I play at. We get pretty loud, we always have earplugs in and stuff, but it's loud for home at 22 watts. It's unbelievably loud. So my old Deluxe Reverb, when I had it at my old apartment, I could never get it up loud unless no one was around. So this has the same thing. It's great that you can use the power attenuator to bring it down. In terms of the XLR outs, I'm still yet to listen to it, but I'm pretty confident it should sound great going in with at least that SM57, because I was using a 57 in front of it. I thought I'd show you how that sounds, and I'm anticipating it's going to be pretty good. In terms of how well it took an overdrive pedal, I thought it sounded pretty damn good with the Maxon OD808, but let me know in the comments what you think about that. It felt exactly the same as that was pretty much my main combination for years. Deluxe Reverb and Maxon OD808, and I also had a volume boost pedal that I used to run into it, and that was the sound. It sounded great. Now, one of the things I mentioned on my Tone Master Twin amplifier review is the only sort of small trade-off possibly is that feedback control. It doesn't feel like it wanted to take off. It could be because I wasn't right in front of the amp as well, but usually I could get a bit of feedback pretty easily with my old Deluxe Reverb depending on where I was standing. And yeah, it's one of those things. I would love to take one of these out and play it live and see how it responds, much like I did with the Twin video. And if you missed that video as well, I'll leave it up in the cards and you can check it out. But overall, I mean, just, you know, the practicality of this, the tone of it, the volume of it, all that kind of thing leads me to believe that this is probably the future for amplifiers. I think people are going to start to see more of these 1 amp type of deals as opposed to those amps that have a million different features that confuse everybody. I think this is the way that it is definitely going to go, and Fender have definitely innovated something about this, something like this. I haven't seen anything else like it, so innovation is always good. And I'm going to do a podcast coming up about that. We already spoke roughly about it before I actually had a chance to try these, but coming up, I'm going to see if I can get Dr. Rick over. We're going to talk about these amps and our thoughts about them, and maybe compare, you know, both of them on a video coming up as well. If you want to see that, let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. If you missed my first unboxing, first impressions video, I'll leave links in the description, up in the cards as well, and you can check that out. This was the same day I filmed this as my first impressions video, and I got to tell you, man, I'm impressed. So that's my impressions. A massive thanks to Sky Music here in Melbourne, Australia for letting me borrow this. Find out more about them, all the links will be down below. Sadly, I have to take this back, but yeah, it's great, and I'm pretty thankful I get to keep the old Twin Reverb behind me. Man, what an absolute great amplifier. So yeah, it's all smiles here. So thanks again, and I'll catch you soon. See ya.